Hello, welcome to Razmafzar TV. This is Hayden Lewis, and today I'm going to do an initial review and analysis of the LKChen Shamshir. So I was given this to review by a friend. So let's begin. One thing that stands out with this is, the first thing is the lightness of it. I can be very relaxed. I can use this type of handshake grip. I can still use the hammer grip. The length of the handle makes it ideal for this type of grip, especially the weight and balance of it. The length of the handle also will help if you have gauntlets as well. So that's a nice touch. I'm not quite sure if there's resin used for the grip or glue. So I can't confirm that. Traditionally they use resin with the rivets, of course. Another thing that stands out immediately is the base is very thick and then it tapers off very thinly. So at the base it's about 6.5 millimeters. In the middle it's about 4, and at the very tip it's 1 millimeter. So it has great distal taper. If you're one of those guys that harps on that, this has excellent distal taper. The edge is sharpened from the spine all the way to the edge. So there's no bevel at the end. It's from the spine straight to the edge. So I'm going to assume when I do a cutting test that this is going to cut exceptionally well, which I will be doing a cutting test in the future and analyzing that as well and give you my input. And if you look at the engravings and castings, they're very rough, which isn't a deal breaker by any means, but if you're one of those guys that are into decorations, these are real rough. If you, also on the scabbard as well, the scabbard's on my belt, more so rough on the crossguard, but that's mainly because I believe it was a 3D scan, so you're not going to get the tightest moldings off a scan, I would assume, but I don't know the technology, so I can't say for certain. I will say one thing cosmetically, it has this, I don't know if it's a scratch or from polishing, it has that. That's not a big deal to me, but someone who harps on that may be a big deal to them. But ultimately it's a very light sword. It weighs around 750 grams. The scabbard is about 550 grams. The length is 29.5 inches, or I believe that would be 75 centimeters. So overall, I would say it's an excellent sword, an excellent Shamshir in particular. The curve is beautiful. It's very much like many antiques in terms of look. And yeah, I believe this one's actually 50 grams lighter than the original that it was modeled after in the Met Museum in New York, Metropolitan Museum. So yeah, it handles well. It's very light for my taste. So I'm used to heavier swords. So this is something that you could just swing all day. Both hands, right? Especially on your weaker side. So I'm quite excited to do more training with it and do some cutting with it. My preference though is I prefer a heavier sword. So if there was one like this, similar balance but a little more weight, that would be, I think, most ideal for me. Because I don't know, I like the heft of heavy Shamshirs. But this one is excellent. This is an excellent sword, especially for the price. Oops, I knocked my hat there. Right? Especially for the price. So yeah, I would say this is definitely well worth the money. The only kind of thing to semi-complain about is the scabbard is really strange, because no matter, and I've tried different hangers that I have, no matter what I've done, it always rolls up like that. So it's just constantly, and even with the sword in it as well, it just rolls up and it just kind of hangs edge out. I mean, that's kind of cool, because then it just goes straight to business here. One thing I do want to add as well to this analysis is the scabbard has a cutout there, so the ease of drawing is very, very easy. So drawing it straight into attacks, it's very efficient and quick. You can, boom, and it just flies out of that scabbard. So that's actually one good thing about the scabbard. The scabbard is very high quality. That's another thing that stood out to me, is that the scabbard is very high quality. And you could just tell by holding it. Even the leather quality is nice. And yeah, overall it's an excellent sword. I would recommend it if you have the money for it. If you're into lighter swords, you like Shamshir, it's an excellent choice, I would say. Again, the engravings are rough. I can't confirm if there's resin used. I'd have to speak to the maker. But overall, I would say it's a very good sword. Very, very good sword. It's going to outperform Cold Seal. It's going to outperform many of the production Shamshir by a mile or more. So yeah, good sword. Highly recommend it.